What's up, everybody? It's Vishis. So, I have been covering Forspoken ever since before the game's demo had dropped, and I have been dropping videos on the combat, videos on my thoughts, on the perspective of how the game was developing, and even how the demo was. And today, I'm bringing to you my very own review of Forspoken for PS5. Yes, I have it on PS5, which evidently is the best place to play, and I'll get into that here in a minute.
All set.
Alright, so I'm gonna basically give away the video here, but I think that the story is pretty good. I don't think that it's great. I don't think that it's just good. I don't think that it's terrible or awful either. I think that the story is pretty good and the banter is pretty good. A lot of people are posting clips of this game saying that it simply is bad because she says, "Oh, I could do that. I can move things with my mind." But in recent memory, I remember as far as Devil May Cry 5 when Nero called a giant billy goat boss demon a knuckle scrapping fart in the wind. But nobody scrutinized that game. Nobody scrutinized the game, probably because, I don't know, Nero is white, or maybe because they want to scrutinize this game because this game is with a protagonist that's black, that's female. I don't know, it could be any one of those things. But honestly, there are reasons to criticize this game, but I feel like everybody is missing the mark on purpose. So without spoiling too much of the story, actually, I'm only going to show one scene and tell you about the story. Frey was an orphan. She was abandoned at birth, and ever since she was abandoned, she's had nothing but bad luck. She's had foster parents, she's been given away, she's been put into the system so many times, and unfortunately, she is a victim of circumstance. She's very poor, and it's caused her to do crimes such as stealing, petty theft, things like that and the like. She's gotten involved with the wrong crowd, and she's at her wits' end. She's trying to leave the place that she's at and ends up in Athia. And in Athia, she is seen as a hero to people because she can not only withstand the poisonous, or I guess you can call it poisonous, the break that is happening in Athia, which is turning characters into zombies. It's messing with the wildlife. It's messing with everything. It's messing with the queens of the realm, called the Tantas. And Frey is the only person that can defeat them because she has magic powers, whereas no one else does. And she's tasked with this, and it weighs heavy on her the entire time. And she even has to kill some of the Tantas in order to bring them to their senses. And that is a lot of heavy stuff. And you don't get that from the little small videos that they make of her saying, "What the fuck, fuckity, fuck shit," and all those things like that. All you get is she says cringe dialogue. And honestly, it's not that bad. You're reading this right now as I'm talking. She is not saying anything that's too bad or off base. I think that the videos do give the wrong impression of the character, but at the same time, I think people take it too far.
Can you take me to her?
You are charged with the murder of Tante Sila. Bring her in.
So after you kill the first Tanta in Forspoken, Frey feels really bad about it because she had to kill another human being. Even though that human being was killing people basically at random, it was something that weighed heavy on her soul. And this is something that we see in a lot of media, a lot of video games, a lot of movies, and even in real life. People that have killed people do not feel great about it unless they're absolutely insane. A sane person feels bad for killing people, and honestly, it's a side that I wasn't expecting. From the previews, I did expect her to just kind of be like, whatever, off to the next, or I'm trying to get home and that's it. But honestly, it's understandable why she feels the way she feels throughout the duration of the game. She is tasked with killing people. She doesn't want to do it, and I think that's pretty admirable about her, honestly. This very shonen or shoujo energy right there. Another thing I'd like to mention is people seem to think that she's a stereotype because she was in a life of crime by like stealing and everything, but she was an orphan, she was poor, and she fell in with the wrong crowd. I wanted to carve out this portion of the video just to talk about the people that are saying that Frey is racistly designed. There is nothing racistly designed about Frey. She's a perfectly well designed black woman, albeit not made by a POC that I know of. This character is assumed to be racistly designed because she's poor and she's an orphan and she's involved with this group of criminals. And honestly, she is stealing because she is poor. She is trying to get away from this group of criminals. This is established very early on in the story. It's not a gotcha moment or anything. She does not want to be involved with them. She wants to ignore them, and she wants to leave the city in which she's living in so she can start a new life. And a lot of people can empathize with that, honestly. A lot of people should be able to empathize with that. We know people like this. We know homeless people. Frey is technically homeless. She lives in an abandoned building and she has running water, but that's about it. It doesn't look like she has heat. And pretty soon that is taken away from her in the beginning of the story. So I think that people that say that she's racistly designed need to step back and realize that these type of people need representation too. These people need some type of escape, and saying that she's racistly designed that's minimalizing what's going on here. And honestly, it's a greater social conversation that we could have about desperate outcomes and things along those lines and how it affects people. But I just wanted to carve this portion of the video out just to let you know that those people are complete assholes. They're dweebs and they don't know anything about their own fucking people, to be honest. They just want everybody to be a fucking security guard officer in a movie or some dumb shit. And quite frankly, that's boring. They're boring. Don't listen to these assholes. They have nothing interesting to say. Now, there are some critiques that you could have. Like maybe they should have had some POC writers write some lines or do the story for Frey. And honestly, that's a great critique. I understand that. I don't think the writers did a terrible job with her. But, I think that people need to realize that, not their imagination of how black people should be in everything is not how it always is in real life or in media. And that's it.
You would be better off. Isn't that what you believe? I can see it so clearly in your mind. You feel you lack purpose. A place in the world. I mean, who would miss you? Who cares? If you live or die.
I care.
They will let you down. They always do in the end, just as you have let others down. Auden, Johidi, people of Sepal, and Homer. Better if you die here. Now. No one will ever even have to know.
Don't listen, Frey. I care. I'm with you.
No. No. No, this is another one of your mind games.
I'm not gonna lie, this scene kind of got me a little bit because Frey did consider killing herself early on in the story, and honestly, this is kind of upsetting a little bit because this lady is trying to edge her into killing herself. And it's something that I don't think I've seen in video games in quite some time. I don't remember the last time I've seen something like that in a video game. But honestly, a scene like this, I think, it's something that makes you feel, honestly. And I don't see how somebody could go through the entirety of this game, go through this scene and say, so what, I'm supposed to feel sorry for her? That's just ridiculous, man. Like, I don't know what type of person could feel this way besides a monster, But that's just me.
Yup. Yup. All right.
Forspoken is a huge game. There's a lot to do in Forspoken, and when I beat the game 19 hours and 15 minutes in, there was still a lot that I haven't discovered in the open world. And that's partially because I really just wanted to get the new powers. The game really tethers the new powers to fighting all the bosses. And by the time you get to the end and you get all the powers, you really just want to fight the final boss anyway, just to tie the story up, because the story, as I mentioned before, is pretty entertaining. Now, not everything about the open world is great. I don't think it's the best open world that we've seen in recent memory. I think that belongs to Horizon Forbidden West. And quite honestly, I had seen a review by Digital Foundry about the technical aspects of this game. And honestly, this game could have been optimized better for both PlayStation and PC. I think the optimization they did for PlayStation is pretty good, all things considered, because if you get a comparable PC to the PS5, it actually functions better on the PS5. Now, you need a 120 refresh rate monitor or a TV in order to play this game at 60 FPS more stably, but I have that, so I don't really have a reason to complain. I see why someone else would complain about it, because if you don't have that, then it doesn't play at 60 as stably. Something to do with the refresh rate not refreshing up to 60 FPS when you have a 60 hertz monitor, something along those lines. But I don't know the whole technical aspects of it. I just know that when I'm playing this game, I'm having a good time, and I really enjoy the parkour, even though it's not all great. For example, I love the parkour system in this game. I think that it's pretty good, and I think it's pretty brilliant, honestly. But sometimes it can be a little messy. Like, for instance, you see I jumped on that pillar back there. I most certainly did not mean to jump on that pillar, but unfortunately, because I couldn't see where I was going, and I had to control so much at one time when playing this game, I ran into the pillar anyway. And I'll run into walls and very closed areas, and I'll start running up the wall, and that's not what I want to do. Now, you can cancel that by pressing L3 in the game. And I found this out midway through the game, but when you cancel it, you're in this slow falling state. And it's not good because you're still dodging when you're going up a wall. The only problem with the dodge, in my opinion, is that it's too floaty. Now, there are necklaces, I believe. Was it a necklace or was it a cloak? It doesn't matter. You can apply the abilities to one another, but you could get a necklace and or a cloak, and you can increase your flow speed, which helps a lot. I actually have it equipped in this fight here, but it still is a pain. You have to find it, and you also have to use it as to take the place of something you might need or something you might want. Like, for instance, an ability that I love to have is critical hits can apply poison to enemies. It really helps mow down some enemies. And as you can see, I'm kind of getting bullied over here. I don't know what was happening during this, but I normally play better than that. But this is an excellent segue. Well, it's not an excellent segue. I could have did better than that. But this is an excellent time to talk about the combat in Forspoken, which I believe is actually really good. Forspoken's gameplay is like a mix of 3 or 4 different games. Primarily, I would say it's the most like Infamous, Horizon, and Gravity Rush. And with a little pinch of Devil May Cry. Just a little pinch. Not enough for you to really notice. Just a little style meter there. But this game takes a while to get used to. I'm not going to lie. If you haven't played Infamous in a while, this game really does play a lot like Infamous, but it feels more modernized than Infamous. In Infamous, you had to switch your powers by absorbing a different type of energy every so often, and it'll refill your energy. But this is timer based, and honestly, I prefer this over the previous Infamous game, and I loved Infamous. I platinumed the game, but this game has so many different things that I did not expect in it, like the status effects, the ability to cancel certain moves with other moves, and spell switching. Spell switching is the thing that I think people are missing. It really takes this game to the next level, and then it makes you think about what spells to do next. I don't even look at the resistances of some enemies, like that deer there. I don't really care about its resistances. I just do whatever I want to it. And the magics are really cool. Purple magic is earth magic, blue magic is water magic, green magic is lightning magic and illusion magic, and then you have red magic, which is fire magic. Of all these, green magic is my favorite, but I still think that there's a lot to the other ones. Earth magic has an even mix of support and attack skills. Same with fire magic. And then you have the water magic, which is mainly for buffs in the support skills. But its attack skills are so precise and they're so, what's the word for it? They're versatile. That's what it is. They are very versatile. And green magic is just fun to use because of the speed and the things that you could do with the illusions, like make enemies go to an illusion that you set up and set up some other sort of magic technique. And the thing is, it's pretty balanced because everything is on a cooldown meter from your support skills, and it just all flows together really well. Like, it's hard for me to see people saying that this game's combat is simple, and it's like, why don't you just like try to make it more complex and play on hard mode? It's just that simple. Here's an example of some advanced techniques in combat. I'm chaining together a dash attack right now. Now, I could press it in any direction and get a different attack, but the most important thing about this is it's more likely to knock down than a regular attack by just pressing R2. Not only that, but after you do a dash attack, you can instantly charge your offensive attack to the highest level. So you can go straight from level 1 to level 3 and knock enemies down that way, or just do more powerful techniques. Another example that I came up with while playing this game is while using a water switching spell, which boosts you into the air. If you switch to Rage Slice using the red magic, you can actually go down to the ground faster, and you can cancel with triangle, so it's a way to effectively cancel this move, which otherwise would just have you floating in the air doing attacks. I thought that was pretty neat. I can tell you right now that this game is not going to be for everybody combat wise, but if you like Infamous, I don't see why you wouldn't like this game. I just think that it's sort of the spiritual successor to the Infamous series, honestly, even though it's made by a different developer. But there's a lot here, and there's a lot for you to sink your teeth into. There's some cool actions that you can do. There's great traversal, and there's puzzles all throughout the the open world. There's something here for you to sink your teeth into. I don't understand why people act like, there's nothing going on here. Like I said, I beat the game in 19 hours, and I'm at like 30 hours right now. I still haven't opened every chest. I still haven't went to every area where there's something to do. Right now I'm just playing the game and enjoying myself. I'm enjoying the combat, which, like I said, I think that that's what this game was really meant for, specifically combat, and story is a bonus.
Nice! Now's our chance!
Yes, you'll need to evade a blow or two to get things moving.
Take that! We got this! Hated the Tanta. Love her spell. Okay.
That's quite a fight.
Okay.
Tired after that little performance?
Hey, I'm always tired.
All's well then. Wonderful.
There is quite a bit of customization in Forspoken. It's not exactly all relating to her outfit. It's just her cloak, her necklace, and her nails. And her nails you can find throughout the entire game. They all have different abilities, and they're very special because they can't be transferred onto the cloak or the necklace, because with those you could just transfer those abilities to one another. You can get special abilities that you can't see anywhere else in the game, like recovering your support skills faster. There's another one where you can freeze an enemy by getting a perfect parry. There's one where you can chain multiple death blows to enemies. Like, the nails get pretty interesting, and you can have 2 sets on at once, so that's cool. Hopefully they expand that if they make another game where you could put on multiple different nails to do multiple different things. Now the nail system is really interesting, but so is the cloak and necklace system. Once you unlock a cloak or a necklace that has a specific skill, it is added to your repertoire. You could just craft it onto any of the cloaks or necklaces that you have. And these skills are different from the nails, like I said. You could flow faster with these. You could heal after charging an attack to the highest degree. You could get critical hits if you're too far away. There's a lot of possibilities here, and it really changes up your playstyle when you mix this in with the factor that you have nails that do different things. Like if I want to freeze people, I would freeze people. I would start using water spells, and I would do it from afar so my critical hit could freeze more, something along those lines. There is depth here, and I like it. Alright, now let's talk about the spells. So you can unlock spells by leveling up, and also you can unlock spells by getting mana that's just randomly assorted all over the entire open world. And I thought that was neat because that makes it easier to like actually get spells instead of sitting here like, oh man, I need to grind and bust my ass. You just run around and enjoy the game and get some ammo to upgrade, for lack of a better word, I guess, right now. And you can upgrade your spells at pilgrim lodges or different archival posts with bookshelves. And what happens is with spellcraft, you're tasked with something to do with that ability or the magic type in general. And you can upgrade each skill once. It could be anything from upgrading the power, and upgrading your specific magic set like purple, red, blue, or green magic. You can extend the duration of debuffs, and you can even add abilities to the skills that weren't originally in the skills. Like my favorite example of this is Frey can alleviate herself of poison and start a regen healing effect. And I thought that was pretty cool. Look, I'm sorry that this review has ran on for so long, but there's so much that I had to get out of the way. There's such a negative stigma around this game that I had to do some sort of defense because honestly, it feels like you cannot like this game publicly. The game has a pretty good story. The combat is pretty good. And there's a lot more to it I still haven't mentioned yet. Like I haven't mentioned the dungeons, aka the labyrinths. The labyrinths aren't too complicated. You go straight left or right after you go through each door and you fight a boss at the end. There was one labyrinth that I went to that had like 4 bosses and it was actually irritating. And Frey actually said something along the lines of how irritating it was. And it was pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. Then you have the mini games that you have littered throughout the entire huge open world. Did I mention that this game is huge? This game is really good and it's packed full of content, even though the areas are like very spacious. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about are the NPCs. Sometimes the NPCs can look super decent, like they could look as good as Frey, and Frey is a good looking character on this game, man. Like I'm just saying, she looks good. She's not the best looking character because, you know, there are characters like in Horizon that are just more detailed than Frey. She looks a little soft in the face, but maybe that's because I'm playing on performance mode. But the NPCs definitely could have used some more time in the oven. They don't even look like they're a part of the same game. They look like they're definitely not the main characters. It's so hard when I'm looking at the NPCs because none of them really look like, you know, they belong in the story. You know, they look like the background characters always, even the characters that give you side quests and missions. There's one NPC named Johidi, and then there's the people that are on the council in Paul. And honestly, they look the best, but I can't even say her name, Johidi, she still has like these dead eyes that she looks at Frey with. And I feel like as long as this game has been in the oven, or however long I think it's been in the oven, they could have just done better with that, especially since Horizon has set the standards for how an NPC should look on a third-person action game, third-person action RPG, you know what I mean? But that's all I had to say about the NPCs.
This ought to be good.
Alright, this has been one long ass video, and now it's time for me to give you my score. I think that Forspoken deserves an 8.5 out of 10. There's really not a lot that I can say about this game besides that the story is fine, the action is pretty fun, and there's a lot for you to do, especially after you beat the game. The only negatives I have about this game is its poor optimization. It should be better. And I'm speaking just on behalf of PC gamers and people that don't have 120 fucking refresh rate monitor or a TV available. That's ridiculous. Also, the NPCs look horrible, and the game could look better. The sound design could have been better, but overall, those things don't hinder how much fun this game is. 8.5 out of 10, easy.